started for our Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023, Municipal District of St. Stephen Council meeting. I'll start off for our First Nation recognition. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered today next to Civic, the St. Croix River, on the ancestral unceded territory of the Bestunamakati people who have lived here for countless generations along the river, in the lands throughout the watershed and on the bay. I guess before we start, I have mover and seconder for the proposed, that the agenda for the regular council meeting of February 22nd, 2023 be approved.
So moved.
Councilor Heislip.
Second.
Councilor Harding. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. We got adoption minutes. Okay. Next up, I need a mover and seconder for the regular council meeting. Proposed resolution that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on January 25th, 2023 be approved as presented. Deputy Mayor Wheaton, Councilor Clark. Okay. Any questions on that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes. No public delegations. Okay. Next up is the report of the Chief Administrative Officer. Or you just want to share some things, or is there any questions?
Thank you, Your Worship. The report was in your package for your review. As council can probably imagine, kind of standing up the council committees that we established last month has been a fair bit of work for not only my office, but the offices of everybody sitting on this side of the table. As it's a new system and we're all learning together. So it's taken up a fair bit of time and work. As noted in the report, we did hold the consultation session at the Protective Services Committee related to the Municipal District Fire Service as relates to the Oak Bay Fire Station and Fire Department. Probably another great portion of my time during this spring period was spent on human resources. Two long-standing HR matters. I can tell you that both of those have been resolved as predicted before this meeting. And just a couple of notable interactions. One water billing complaint from a apartment owner that we're currently working on. I've been in contact with the owner, and we're working on trying to find a mutually beneficial resolution to that. One complaint about the operations here at the Civic Center is still outstanding, as they asked for specific people to be attending a meeting and trying to schedule that. And in a rarity, one citizen compliment, a member of the public came up to me and my wife while we were out having lunch one day and wanted to express their gratitude for all the work that's being done by the staff and how good the public works crew are about keeping their equipment running and in top shape. And noting the amount of money that actually saves us in the long run with the work they put into their preventative maintenance. And so I passed that along to Chief Morton to pass it down to the Public Works crew. But yeah, with that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take the ones that I can.
Any questions, Jeff? Seeing none? Okay. Yes. So I need a mover and seconder to approve the report of the Chief Administrative Officer.
So moved.
Councilor Heislip.
Second.
Harding. Any questions on that? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Report received. Okay, next, I didn't see on here our conflict of interest. I didn't get missed, or?
Yeah, it's not actually there.
Can I just add it, or?
Yep, you can ask them.
Right.
Yep.
I might as well do it right now. Is there any conflicts of interest this evening?
I just have one, Your Honor.
Oh.
It'll be on the IWK
issue?
Oh, well, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, you get your first one of the year.
It's all right.
Okay.
So when we come to that, what did we decide? Did they have to leave or?
Protocol will be to step out,
Just
just
step out.
for that item, and
Okay.
come in and step right back in.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next up, okay, the reports. Let's see. Okay, normally what I'll do is here is that I'll just move into all the department head reports so they can, we'll adopt them all together. So can I have a mover and seconder that the departmental information reports be acknowledged and received? Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Wheaton.
I'll second.
Support. Okay, so let's go into the deputy CAO report, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just the only thing that I wanted to report would be my informational report with respect to Public Works. I neglected to do that at our committee meeting, so I'm bringing that forth to council directly. There's a list of things that we did within the individual departments within Public Works, water system, streets, wastewater in general. So those are just general things that are typical of what we do. I listed some of my activities as the Director of Infrastructure, and there are some comments with respect to the recovery phase of the Lagoon fire. I do have a couple of updates there. I had mentioned that Assistant Treasurer Godso and I had met with Guy Arday and the insurance people. I don't have a lot to report on that. I guess that's what I want to report. We had hoped we were going to get some clarification on an advance on settlement to help corporate services and to get the burnout structure cleaned up. They assured us they were on it, but still no word, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. And I mentioned in phase 3 we're going to be replacing the temporary electric blowers with permanent electric blowers. The recommendations came down from Dylan. I received those yesterday, and I'm still reviewing that, but we are going to have a meeting with officials from Dylan and some of the department heads next week to try and come up with a strategy as far as how we move forward with that. And that would be the highlights of Public Works. If anybody's got any questions on Public Works, I'd be willing to take them. And also, I did give my Protective Services report at committee, so I'll leave that with the chair. But if there are any questions on Protective Services, I can try and answer those as well.
Any questions? Council? Okay. Thank you, Sean. Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission report. Where are you, Alex? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I met with the Planning and Heritage Committee twice. We presented a proposal to the committee regarding a work plan for your new municipal district planning bylaws. So we kind of outlined what our next year looks like with this council. So that was submitted to the chair of the committee. We also have in front of council tonight a rezoning request for 8 and 14 Union Street. This is one which the town of St. Stephen, the former municipality, would have recognized through that temporary authorization file. So this is now coming to the Municipal District Council for a rezoning request to make the change permanent to those properties. So there's a separate report related to that request. With development, there's been just 10 building permits so far at the time of this report, with a total construction value of $1.3 million, and 4 other development approvals that were handled by development officers. And that concludes the report. If there's any questions, happy to take them.
Council. Okay, right along. Thank you, Alex. Community Services, Kev Sumner.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I'll start with how the order of the reports go. First of all, Jeremy McShane, who oversees the facility maintenance. Pretty busy as his report will outline. We fixed the humidity issue in the in the swimming pool and the gym area, so that part was finally in. It has made a big difference. There's still work to do on our pool deck. We're kind of finalizing the details on that, and some of the more aesthetic look of the bubbling under the drywall and the rust will get improved once that work is carried out. We'll be able to shut the pool deck down. Other areas, we've had a call out to the Six Kings, the oldest basketball court in the world. That was 2 nights ago, so that keeps our staff busy as well. In regards to my report, I've been on 4 of the standing committees, so that's kind of been busy with my time. We've also had other items going on with the original 6 hockey games going on, the Irishman games in this facility, keeping those going smoothly. Haven't had too many concerns with those. Continue to have an element of vandalism issues with there was the bandstand in Chocolate Park got damaged in the last month, which is unfortunate. We're looking at long-term replacements instead of the vinyl sidings. In Aaron's report, he's been very busy with training over the last weekends. We're hoping we'll get 5 lifeguards out of this, so hopefully this is positive news, and we're still always looking for more lifeguards out there, potential lifeguards. We offer free clinics, so there's the monthly plug for you. And in regards to Michelle, she had the World of Flavors thanks to the Charlotte County Multicultural Association. That was a really well-attended event, very popular, and we're almost a month away from the end of hockey season, and we're already thinking of the spring and taking out the ice and putting the floor down and different things like that, graduation. So very busy as normal in community services, but if there's any questions, please let me know.
As you said, any questions? This report? Easy peasy. Thank you. Next up, Future St. Stephen.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, the transition for president has continued to go smoothly. I'm continuing onboarding, making new relationships. Over this past month, there's been a lot of meetings, primarily with the Future St. Stephen Board, the new Economic and Cultural Development Committee, as well as the RSC. We had a meeting on February 13th, which went really well, and talked about how we're all going to collaboratively work together, and just starting to discuss some of the priorities and where each role and each organization fits. During that, Future St. Stephen brought the recommendation to the committee for discussion for the RFP, the land next to the beacon. That's, I believe, still in discussion. So the other highlight I just wanted to bring up was myself as the president. I've been working closely with the RSC regarding affordable housing, meeting with both Raymond, who is the Community Development Director, as well as closely with Charlene Hatt, who is the Economic Development Director, to discuss some of the priorities and how we fit with the regional strategy there as well. The only other things to highlight in my report is just the ongoing discussion around housing and speaking with developers and different potential opportunities. We had a good discussion within our committee discussing those. I'll take any questions at this time.
Wade?
Just on the, you said you participated in the initial stage of the community health need assessment.
Yep.
Who's driving that? And is there a timeline for what it's going to be?
Yeah, so good question. So the first phase just wrapped up. Kendall was primarily the past president. Future St. Stephen was sitting on that development committee, or that committee, I should say. I sat in the last discussion, and they're moving into a planning stage. So primarily Horizon Health is the one driving that. So they're basically just trying to set up the next initial plan based on the assessment they did. From my understanding, it was a pilot project that they did in collaboration. So this was the first one they ever did. So they're doing a lot of evaluation and discussion.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you. All right, so I have a mover and seconder. Where did that go? Okay, so that the departmental information reports be acknowledged and received. I had a mover and seconder. Any more questions on all the department reports? Seeing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, bylaws. Okay, I need a mover and seconder for bylaw number 07-23.
So, second.
Councilor Heisler, Councilor Harding. A bylaw respecting the duties and powers of the Chief Administrative Officer, first reading. Proposed resolution that yes, so the bylaw number 07-20, or is that my second reading?
First,
Yeah, I'm reading the second
07-23.
one though, right? Okay.
Yeah, you want to be titled here, so it's,
Okay, good.
you're fine. You may want to turn this one over to the Chair of Governance. This is where this report came from.
Oh, sorry. Not used to that style. Okay. The floor is yours.
No worries,
That's all right.
thank you. This is basically, nothing is being changed in these two bylaws except to change references to the town of St. Stephen to the municipal district of St. Stephen, just to update the bylaws to reflect our new municipal structure. If the amended marked up version is in there with all the changes in red with the strikeouts of the word town and the addition of the words municipal district. But those are the only changes that the committee was recommending at this time.
Any questions on that? All right. All those in favor of bylaw number 07-23?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much. Now, do we do a second reading? Or
Nope, just first reading
All right.
for that one, and then there's a first reading for the
oh, okay.
number 2 on your list.
Is this still Councilor Wright's floor still? Okay. You want me to just let you go? Go ahead.
Sure. Same thing for this second bylaw. If you want to look at the marked up copy, it shows in strikeouts the word town replaced with municipal district, so there is a markup copy there for you to look at. And then, again, just the housekeeping item to update the bylaw to reflect the new municipal structure.
Okay, so mover and seconder for bylaw number 08-23, a bylaw to authorize and delegation of certain powers to the Chief Administrative Officer. First reading. Move. Councilor Otis. Deputy Mayor Wheaton. Okay. The bylaw number 08-23, a bylaw to authorize the delegation of certain powers to the Chief Administrative Officer to be given first reading. All those, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Bylaw approved. Thank you. For the first reading. Okay, so this next one you again? Must be all you.
523 there.
Yep. I'll do a mover seconder for bylaw number MDSS 05-23-1, a bylaw to amend bylaw 05-23, second reading.
So moved.
Councilor Heisler?
Second.
Councilor Eastman. The bylaw to MDSS 05-23-1, a bylaw to amend the bylaw of 05-23 be given a second reading. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Second reading is approved. Thank you. Mover and seconder for bylaw number MDSS 05-23-1, a bylaw to amend bylaw 05-23. This is the third and final reading. Mover seconder, please.
So moved.
Councilor Harding, Deputy Mayor Wheaton. That the bylaw number MDSS 05-23-1, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 05-23 be given its third and final reading. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, new business. Request for decisions. Mover and seconder for the plan amendment for rezoning request.
I'll move.
Councilor Eastman.
I'll second.
Councilor Heisler. That the council initiate the review of this request by setting a date for the public presentation of the proposed plan amendment at the meeting of council on March 29, 2023, in compliance with the Community Planning Act. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay, so mover and seconder for 2023 Community Grant Fund Request, CS-041-2023. That the council approve a 2023 community grant for the Chocolate Museum in the amount of $6,000. Mover and seconder, please.
So moved.
Councilor Heisler. Deputy Mayor Wheaton. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Mover and seconder that council approve a 2023 community grant for the Charlotte County. Oh, sorry. I just caught that. Could you step
Can I
up?
get over to that one?
You can. A little bit of difficulty.
I don't want to stumble over there.
The one way over there, Brian.
I think it's locked, all right? So I got it.
You got it?
Just knock on the door. There we are.
Talk real low so he can't hear us. Okay, so I have my mover and seconder, yes. Okay, the council approves a 2023 community grant for the Charlotte County IWK Kids Carnival fundraising event for financial help for rental costs at the Garcelon Civic Center in the amount up to $1,500.
I don't think we have a mover.
So you still need to move over.
Did I not do that?
You did the first one.
Okay.
I'll move it.
For that, I'll take a mover and seconder.
I'll second.
Councilor Heisler, Councilor Willis, thank you. I've already read it. Any questions on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone. Thanks. That's a good conflict to have if you're part of that, so thank you. Thank you for what you're doing there.
Thank you.
All right, so need a mover and seconder for proposed resolution that council approve the 2023 community grant for the Charlotte County Fall Fair in the amount of $2,000. Mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor Wheaton.
So moved. Second.
Councilor Harding. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, I need a mover and seconder for the rescinding of the COVID-19 vaccination protocol. Proposed resolution that the council sets the recommendations of the Joint Health and Safety Committee and rescinds the COVID-19 vaccination protocol and any associated policies and procedures. Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Eastman.
I'll second it.
Councilor Cornish. Any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, correspondence. Are we still doing that? Reports?
Yes, because you only just changed your procedural bylaw
Okay.
about 3 minutes ago when you did the bylaw reading.
Oh, so
for this meeting, it's still verbal reports.
Okay,
Starting next meeting, it'll be written reports from you.
okay, so here we go then. We might as well start right over there with you. Do your last one, Mayor. Councilor Harding.
Well, I attended 4 meetings. I have got numerous phone calls about the situation that's going on in St. Stephen, about the warming shack and what happens there. And I had lunch with Bob Scott from MB Power, of which we are trying to negotiate with Bob for an expensive rink for Milltown. Kevin, you'll be happy to know that you won't have to flood it, they'll be all attached. I see that they have moved in some equipment, so I would say that the dam is going to be gone on its appropriate date of July 1st. And outside of that, I didn't write anything else down, and I've got a short memory. Thank you, Your Worship.
That's good. Thank you so much.
Can I just make a quick comment? Just a correction, it's not the warming shack, it's the out of the cold winter warming shelter of St. Stephen, just to clarify that, so we're all aware of the appropriate language to use when discussing the warming center. Thank you. Your Mayor.
Next, Councilor Eastman.
Protective Services and Emergency. I attended also 3 meetings, chaired one. I've had reports just today. I think all the councilors got the email about some guys hanging around and doing damage to a business. So that's going to have to be looked at. With the fire services and that, we had a spirited discussion here where all councilors except for Councilor Otis was here, so you know all what happened there. One thing that wasn't resolved at that time is if the phone service was ever going to be connected back to Oak Bay Fire Hall. So I'd like to hear about that. Other than that, I've just been monitoring and attending meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Attended the Finance Committee meeting, chaired the Economic Development Committee meeting. Same thing, taking numerous calls about everything from, garbage issues to, the disturbances downtown, and even a request for information on a property. I think I steered them in the right direction. So anyway, yeah, it's been busy and still learning, still reading, still researching.
Councilor Wright.
Attended the 3 committee meetings that I sit on, and only had 2 phone calls from citizens, which I think is good. And also I was able to attend the World of Flavors event. It was absolutely amazing. And so that was a great event to get out to, but other than that, busy plugging away and lots of reading and emails, of course, on the off time.
Very long time we have. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wheaton.
Okay. So I attended the monthly council meeting in January, and I also attended the AGM for the Chocolate Museum and Chocolate Fest. This is ongoing from when I was on council before, and it's very, very interesting, and they have lots of plans to keep it going. I attended several sessions on local governance orientation via Zoom, and so far there have been 8 of them. I only did 2. They're quite interesting because it's our new municipality, and they're going to be on the website, so you would have time to go listen to it. One that was on was community financing and funding. I mean, there's so much information for 2 hours, right? I attended a virtual meeting and it was a combination of Horizon Health Network and Rural Community Health Initiative. And this, there were 2 committees that were going before, yeah. And this is the committee that works in recruiting doctors, but there's also a lot, like the medical system needs to change from what we're going, and a lot of people are missing their doctors and so on. But I think it's a good committee, and it's involving the government and then the people around in the community. So, and I also went to UMNB, that's the Union of Municipal orientation in Fredericton, and there were a couple more counselors there, and it was to Phil Daves, right? So lots of information, and it was all the new councillors from the province. I chaired a committee, the one with the parks, recreation, leisure activity, and tourism. Plus I attended 2 other meetings. And I do want to thank the staff for being there to help us out and cheer us on. And let's see, I did receive some phone calls about the homeless situation outside the shelter. And I've given it a lot of thought, because where do these people go during the day? So I really think that that's something we need to work on, right? And last weekend I was in St. John, and I saw a whole bunch of tents. This was not too far from the TD Center, right? So it's right in the middle of the city. And they had clotheslines, and it was like a little community there. So we're not the only one, but we do have to come up with a solution. And I do want to remind everybody about Neighborhood Works fundraising on Saturday, this Saturday. They've done very well, and I think it's going to be a great event. And I do want to thank the staff, our staff here, for planning and tending to a very successful family day. So lots of people were out. And I did want to say that basketball and hockey are alive and well in this region. And if you want to see a good game, there's a hockey game tonight. And I think the kids and the parents appreciate it when the community comes out to see them. I do have grandchildren that play basketball. They're very, very young, but I do enjoy going to the game. And this weekend, the St. Stephen High School is playing in the final game, and they haven't been there for 23 years. So if you can go to St. John, but I can't go because we get basketball here. So let's thank you. That's it.
And that's at 1 p.m. that game was on a Saturday. And I went up there one year with the boys team, and it was phenomenal. It was really good. So let's get up there and cheer them, or at least when they're on. I should cut in here, but anyway, I was going to talk about that later. But anyways, Councilor Point.
Okay, Chair of the Planning and Heritage Committee. First of all, the Heritage Committee, we met once and we had some dialogue. We met with town managers, we had some more dialogue. And the next phase, we're meeting Monday at noon hour to discuss a proposal from the oldest basketball court in Canada, that they're making a proposal that they would like to apply for application for heritage, and they basically like to come to council, and we'll have a recommendation Monday, and we present it at our next council meeting. And the planning part of it right now, we had another planning meeting. Alex covered it briefly. Basically, it looks like by July the 1st this year, our committee will have a municipal plan background study completed. And by end of year, we'll have a comprehensive municipal plan and zoning bylaw, which will be prepared and presented to committee before December, sorry. And later in 2004, we'll be bringing forward a background study specific to the downtown area of the municipal district, and a new subdivision bylaw to be adopted for the municipal district of short term to medium term. I think that's pretty well it for now. We're probably planning having a few meetings between now and the end of the year. Some of it may be just Alex and I, but Alex has got it well under control, and I've worked with him 7 years. I think you will have a nice report for us. The other thing that I'd like to mention too, on the Basketball Association, the people associated with that, and I see Richard Fulton here tonight, and he's invited all councillors to visit the site, become familiar with it. I'm planning on going because I danced there a million years ago, but they played basketball there. Not that old, but Don't say that.
I don't want to say anything.
But I would think it would be good because I thought it was the oldest basketball court in Canada.
It's the world.
It's the world?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a pretty valuable piece of real estate, and I think they're on the right path. They just need a little boost, and Heritage is part of it, so we'll have a meeting, actually we'll have it on Monday at noon, and I've got back to them, and that's about it. The other thing is, again, based on the other people's conversations, I've had at least 2 contacts on the homeless people. I'm trying to come up with definitions. I don't know anything about homeless people other than what I see. I don't know a lot about drug users, but what I see, and I think there are areas of that, there's another level, is drug users, homeless people mixed together. And I certainly would like to help them, but I think we have a situation that's not different from the rest of New Brunswick, Canada, or the world, but some of them, I don't know which some that is, are actually causing some disturbances, some fear, and people are getting scared, and I think there's going to be trouble before it's over. So I think we as a council have to deal with that. And I'm going to say this, and I don't know if it's the right place to say it or not, but we do have a young retired RCMP officer that runs a church here, and he might be someone we'd like to have on the committee because he's got both law enforcement and he's also willing to work with the homeless. So we'll make that recommendation. Last thing again is going on with Councilor Wheaton. I attended a very busy 2-day session in Fredericton along with 2 other members. It was very, very beneficial, brought us up to date real quick. And if you think our town is in a little bit of turmoil right now, you're right. So is the rest of the province. It was dumped on us quick, and some of us worked on it for a whole year. Alan was looking at me and said, yep, we worked on it, but it was put upon us, and we have got a lot of work to do, and so please be patient with us. That's all I can ask. That's my report, sir.
All right, so I attended 3 meetings. I chaired the Social Development and Inclusion Committee. I met a young male who has lived experience of drug addiction and homelessness, and asked him to come speak with our committee for 20 minutes to half an hour about his experience right now in St. Stephen, because I think part of learning about this is understanding what we don't fully understand. Talking to someone on the ground. So Councillor Eastman was present, Councillor Wheaton Ian was there as well, and we had an excellent discussion. I think we all found it very valuable and learned so much. I think we can't be too quick to judge what people have experienced in our community, and as a community we have a responsibility to provide service to these individuals so that they can thrive. We can't expect people who don't have a home to just, enter the workforce, give us exactly what we need in terms of feeling like our society is on the right track. So I think what's really great I can report is I sit on the Unsheltered Working Group Committee. We are constantly reevaluating how this warming center is going, how things are playing out in the community, things that need to be constantly reassessed. We have been praised by the rest of the province on how quickly we have moved here in St. Stephen, and actually the way that we piloted this in this community was probably quicker than anywhere else in the province, putting that together in a matter of months. Now, what I've heard on the ground and from Neighborhood Works and other partnering organizations is there have been multiple men who have actually sought recovery and gone to detox in St. John. They are looking to return to the community and return to the workforce. They don't have anywhere to live, period, done. And that's not a sober place where they can go, but that means there is no housing for them to return to that would be in their price range, right? So that's something that we do need to look at all of these aspects. If we expect things to become better in our community, I think we need to dive deeper into that. I've also had some concerns that have come forward about the language councillors are using about the Unsheltered Committee. So as a registered social worker and as chair of the Social Inclusion Committee, I think we can make a recommendation to council about the language that we use. And just to say right here, usually, homeless or unsheltered or somebody in active addiction or recovery or seeking recovery. I mean, terms are changing all the time, and it's important for us to, know the right language to use that's appropriate. I also sat in on the governance committee and the infrastructure committee meetings. I got a few different concerns in the community, a lot of concerns about plowing and sanding, but I spoke with Jeff about that. We don't actually have a formal policy yet around snow removal that's, solid, so we're gonna be looking at that. Luckily, we're not getting a ton of snow, so that's a plus. There was also some major concerns about a policing incident on the waterfront and the language that was being used by a police officer. I know that's come through the local high school. I did pass that along to Councillor Eastman to maybe take forward to the protective committee. I think it's important that the language police officers are using, if we expect better from our youth, then we need to be role models for our youth as well, right? So I'm hoping they can take a look into that. And then lastly, I would say, Lady Spartans, congratulations. We're excited for you. That's awesome. I think Donnie Walker is coaching that team, so I'm sure that he's all smiles right now. So good luck to the team, and that's all I have tonight. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yes, Your Worship, like the very last person, I get to repeat everything.
Yeah, right?
I did write something down and sent it to Allison, actually. I attended all, I'm going to get used to saying Municipal District of St. Stephen because it was really hard to say up at that UMNB thing too, and they had everything St. Stephen across you. So I attended all MDSS training sessions for councillors, attended the first meeting of the new MDSS. Next meeting of Charlotte County Museum Board, which I sit on, is expected in March. There hasn't been too much going on in the wintertime, so we're just going to put that off until March when we start up in the spring or July. And attended MB Power Legacy Committee, which Councillor Harding alluded to. I've never heard anything about a pool yet, but that probably, or not pool, but the rink yet, but that might come to the next meeting.
Yeah.
And so I haven't heard that yet. And attended the Planning Heritage Committee meeting as a committee member. Attended Canada First basketball meetings. They're ongoing actually there's one this evening. We have Zoom meetings on the working group every Wednesday. So that's going along. And attended UMNB orientation conference with a few councillors from here in Fredericton on the 12th and 13th. There was over 200 participants in attendance from all over the province. Attendees included mayors, councillors, and support staff of many new formed municipalities throughout the province. Many I didn't even hear of. Many that, there's one there, Maple Hills, that just newly formed. They have one employee, a CAO, and a council, no place to meet. And there's other ones that have, one guy got up and stood up, he said, I'm the mayor, he said, I got two of everything, so if you want something, you tell me, he's got two of everything. So,
you got his number?
2 town halls, 2 everything, right? So that was pretty interesting, actually, and they appeared to share the same Reformation growing pains that we had. So that was kind of good to hear. They have unique challenges they experience in their own regions. Attended Finance, Audit, and Tendering Committee as a non-committee member. Attended the Planning and Heritage Committee as a committee member. Chaired the Infrastructure and Utility meetings, and we just went over in that meeting just the terms of reference for that committee, and we also looked for a date for Gemtech to come and present their information they've been gathering about a plan for doing the streets and infrastructure in St. Stephen. I think as Sean said, 5-year plan. It looks like it's more than you can't make a 5-year plan with the cost estimate that they're giving. It's more like a 50-year plan. I'd like to say 10 and 20-year plan anyway, but it's a lot of money. I mean, you've seen, I always bring back to that the end of Union Street when you look at the contributions there of what, $17 million or something like that. $17 million to that one stretch there.
1.7.
Or 1.7 is it? Yeah, 1.7 million just to do that little stretch from one to the other, right? And that was their contribution though too, wasn't it? So I mean, it's expensive. So. And then also I had a number of emails and inquiries on various issues, and I always send these, direct them to the CAO and the deputy CEO. Is usually usually CC both of them, and because it's up for them to go and really take those. So, and that's it, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Mr. Worship, can I just add one thing?
Sure.
On that invite to the basketball court, if anybody would like to, please submit your name to me. I'll make arrangements for us to go as a group.
Okay. Thanks, Michael. Okay, yeah, so for myself, I attended all the committee meetings. I think I missed one. and I missed the Future St. Stephen one as well, so I missed a couple, but there was a lot to go to, you know. It's been a busy month, and everyone's new and fresh and trying to figure out how to even run our committees. Okay, and so I appreciate everyone's effort in getting used to the system. I also attended the Cappy Cup out in the pond out in Heathland, and it went well for the first one. And so hats off to all the volunteers that put that together in support of Cappy. So I think it's something you're going to see every year following that. It can only get better. It's going to grow. So it went off pretty good. Their weather hit them hard the night before, but they seemed to get it together. And there's going to be a lot of hockey players out there playing. It was a lot of fun. And the weather wasn't so bad either. Everything was talked about on my list here. But anyway, the girls' high school team, like I said, everyone, it's at 1 o'clock on Saturday. It's a big deal, you know. So if you can't get there, let's cheer them on their way out, you know. I always noticed they always did that over in Cowles when the Blue Devils left. They put signs up and they're all cheering as the bus is going. You know, see if we can't pull that off. You know, just give them a big wave or get up there and see it. That is really cool. You know, they're playing basketball in the Harbor Station, and it's huge, just like you're at a big game up there. You know, and they feel it too. You know, they're in the big game. Anyway, so let's see if we can't support them. And discussions on snow removal, the same thing. You know, we're gonna get those every year. And I always say this every time: is keep in mind that our snow removal people are also our water break repair people. So it's a challenge for them. So I appreciate everything they do. They do their best, and I mean they got to fix the water leak, do the plowing. So there's only one group of guys there. Met with the leader of opposition for the Liberal Party, Susan Holt, was down this week, this week or last week. Jeez. Days are going, so the holidays got me all messed up. Anyway, that was a nice meeting. You know, we shared all our concerns about having a clinic, infrastructure, you know, how we're not doing any infrastructure work this year for the next 3 to 5 years, we're told. So it's always good to get the opposition going, because that might get something going for us. So hopefully pushes for us. Next, what else? Well, I attended Fredericton, and I myself received a Platinum Jubilee Award. I'm not telling you that to sit here and brag, but I just wanted to say I'm not an award kind of guy. I'm here to do a job that I signed up for, but I did go accept that award on behalf of all the leaders and counselors and staff that supported me through this to allow me to be even acknowledged to get that award. So thank you to everyone that's been in my support group, all the leaders with no titles, everyone that's helped me get to that point. So that award is all yours, so thank you. And I'm gonna leave on that note. Thanks. All right. And okay, we gotta move into yeah, so any more questions, council, before I carry on? Any questions from the public?
One behind me somewhere.
I hear somebody. Oh, just one sec, Joe. I did see that hand first. Sorry. Don't worry.
I would just like to ask that when you're giving your reports, could you please speak up a little bit more so you can be heard more clearly?
Okay. Hopefully we'll be having microphones in here very soon.
Well, that was going to be the next subject.
Yeah, it's coming. Just like everything else that takes time. Yes.
This is the last night for the verbal reports. So.
Yeah, and then there's that too. Okay, Joe?
I just had two quick points. One for Deputy Mayor Wheaton, where you're on the tourism committee. As you all know, that I'm responsible for the Oak Bay Campground. I wouldn't mind to get involved or something that might help.
We can come, I'll let you know when the next meeting is.
That would be great. I really appreciate it. And then maybe we can throw some stuff out there to get people here. So, the other thing I was just curious about was where we've taken the municipality of St. Stephen and combined it with some of our stuff from Oak Bay and the parish saying, we used to have bylaws out there, and we did things in certain ways that followed our basic planning statements, and now the community is got bylaws, and you're expecting us to honor those bylaws to some degree. Okay, just to clarify, can we or can I get a copy of bylaws so that I don't do something that I'm gonna regret down the road? Be damned if I want you to come in and say, you gotta tear that down because it's looking over that pine tree that's been there 850 years or something, you know what I mean? I'm just curious if that's a possibility. I don't know if it's on the website, I don't know if it's where it's at, I'm just curious if it's something that we can kind of get a hold of.
Okay, so Jeff.
Sure. So in the rural areas, the bylaws of the former town of St. Stephen do not extend beyond the former town site of St. Stephen as of yet. So no bylaws get automatically expanded until council has reviewed them, updated them if they need to be updated, and decided that they will expand. For instance, a few of the bylaws we did tonight, we were doing some amendments. So that all the other bylaws will go the same way. So what's currently in existence, or what has been in existence in the rural areas, continue to be that way right now.
Perfect.
So what's always been is in, and when new bylaws come and overlay that, if what was done originally was legal at the time, it remains legal. And there's some rules around that, and Alex knows the details better than I do probably. But for the most part, if it was done legally, it's still legal, unless you do a major modification or something like that, that would bring it under a different set of rules. As far as getting access to the bylaws, all the bylaws do go on the website. And if there's anything anybody's ever specifically looking for, reach out to my office. We have all of them now digitized, so I can email you a PDF of whatever you're looking for, or if you have a concern, give me a call and we'll talk through it and we'll figure it out. We'll make sure we don't come in after the fact and try and make you tear down, side barns and whatever else might be out there.
I'm just more curious because what happened a couple of months ago, a person had a house for sale up on St. David Ridge, from what I understand. It used to be an old farming area, and the person lost the deal because the new town was coming in, and they were told somewhere along the lines that they could not sell the house because the people coming wanted to put a farm on it, for example, like a cow or a horse or whatever. I don't know all the details, just some, but they lost the deal. They rescinded their, what do you call it, order when they buy, like
an offer sheet.
An offer, yeah. So they rescinded the offer, and they did. I don't know if they've actually bought in town or not, or if they left because somebody else came in and another offer on the property. But so that got me thinking, like, we got to be careful here. I mean, I know in town there's probably a chicken bylaw, and out our way there's probably a chicken bylaw, and who knows what. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
I'm not going to speak for council, but I'll speak for myself. Those rural bylaws are going to be exactly that, rural. There's going to be urban and there's going to be rural.
Sounds good.
We're not taking farming and those sorts of things. I cannot see it. I mean, I just can't imagine it.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I don't want to farm, I just want to, somebody else might, I don't know.
There's no money in it, trust me. I'll be voting no to that myself. That's crazy.
Yeah, always feel free to call myself or call Alex at the RSC. And we'll get you the right goods right off the get-go and make sure you're caught up in some misinformation somewhere.
Yeah. And then if somebody in my community asks, if I have them, then that's good, because I was the former chair at one time and so on and so. So we're still the finger on the pulse.
We're happy to help where we can. Just let us know.
And but I will say, don't get mixed up with bylaws and building codes and all that stuff's a whole different thing that has nothing to do with here. But anyway. Okay. Oh.
Just a clarification, the new broadcasting equipment, will it be in place for the next monthly council meeting?
We're optimistic that the cameras will be in place, the new camera system. As far as the microphones, it doesn't look like the supply chain is going to let that happen. We've been working with the supplier to possibly, they're offering to bring in potentially some temporary devices to get us up and running. It might not be, the microphone situation might not be as perfect as it will be at the end. But our target hope right now is that we will be operational for broadcasting at the end of March, and fully operational for the meeting in April.
And that will be broadcast live?
If our system is up and running, absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have some hiccups there, but, just get through it, but.
I think a lot of people came here because of the fire hall situation, and I live in Oak Bay, and I have 5 kids there, and St. Stephen Fire Hall is an awfully long ways away. And so if you take a town this size, it's doubled in size overnight. So I think a lot of people would say that maybe we should have 2 fire halls, and maybe Oak Bay shouldn't have 4 fire trucks there, but they should have at least 2. They should have 1 working and 1 on standby, and you never know when you're gonna need them, right? Like, you take this building, a building this size in St. Stephen, if you got rid of 1 fire hall and half the guys, and you put 3 fire trucks on there, if this caught fire, you have no way of getting this building out. Or if a fire ran down the street, you could call Oak Bay over, and we got 2 fire trucks here while we're waiting for somebody else or Callis to come, right? Instead of fighting who's in control of the strings, you should be more focused on, okay, well, right? Taxes shouldn't go up and your services go down, is what I'm trying to say. So there should be a happy medium. You shouldn't get rid of a fire hall that you might need someday, because that's the business district down there. But the only reason why I heard about this meeting was I seen it online, and that was one of the concerns. And
yeah, I don't know what you saw online, but.
I wouldn't be concerned about level of service. I think our concern, well, I'll speak for myself, is we just can't have a chief in every fire hall, right? And I think what this has turned into somewhat of a political issue, but realistically, it's come down to more so certain individuals wanting there to be multiple chiefs, and that's just not feasible with the transition that we're in. And I think this is growing pains across the entire province. Like, that's a really tough transition. It's an emotional transition. Like, there's a lot that's been invested into the fire hall in Oak Bay, and I think everyone recognizes that. And at the same time, we have to kind of move through these transitions strategically, because it's not feasible for us to have an individual fire chief in every single fire station within our rural municipality. So, I mean, yeah, I would not be concerned one bit about level of service, and maybe there are others that can speak to that a little bit, but we have looked into that.
what I'm trying to say is,
I think it's more an issue.
There might
of
only
we
be
can't
1
do
chief
multiple
of the whole thing, but I'm saying there should probably be 2 fire halls, because it's a
There
very
will, yeah,
large
there will
area.
be.
Okay.
Very large area. I got 5 kids, and like, if I'm not at home, they're 2 kilometers down the road. And all the businesses that are on the district, right? Your fire insurance go up. And the same note, if there's 2 guys sleeping up at this hall, and there's a guy down there manning that truck, well, then now you got 4 people on duty, so maybe you can only afford one chief and 2 trucks down there and 3 over here, but I don't think we should be taking away services.
Thanks.
Hi. So I just want to comment on what you're saying about there's not going to be any decrease in service levels. I think for me, and I'm also a resident of St. David in Leederville, I want to actually see the actual analysis that proves there will not be a decrease in service levels. And sure, I agree that I don't want to pay for lower service levels, but I also don't want my house to burn down because you had lower service levels. So the document that I looked at today, I think it was a letter from the CAO. I'm not really sure what it was, because I was just looking at it last minute. And it says we're not going to speak to service levels because we guarantee service levels are not going to be reduced. That's not good enough, so I'd like to see more information about that. And then the other thing is, the one thing that is in there about service levels has to do with how long it takes for the fire truck to actually leave the station. That to me is not good enough. And they do recognize in the letter that there's more information that's needed, or more performance measures that we need to look at. So I want to see what all of those are. And my concern is not just how long it takes you to leave the station and why does it take you that long to leave the station, but how long does it take for you to get from the station to my house. So I think there's a lot more detail that we need in order to really be happy with any decisions that are made. I totally agree that we don't want redundancies. I think that's definitely something we need
So
to look
seeking
at.
more
One
transparency.
thing I wanted to
though.
mention, sorry.
More transparency though about.
Yes, definitely
Okay.
more transparency, including what is the cost for each of the options that you're looking at. Because if I can get, maybe I'll be willing to increase a little bit of cost to make sure I'm going to get the service levels that I need. But that's not a guarantee either until we see everything that goes into that analysis and everything that goes into the final decision, which apparently the CAO makes on his own. And that is something that I feel is debatable as well, whether that should happen, but that's another discussion, so, thank you.
Well, anyone else wanna?
I think this council is gonna make sure the service is there. That's what the council's here for, to make sure that the service is there is either, well, I want to say equal, even better. I mean, that's our goal, so anyways.
Mr. Mayor, in relation to these questions that these two had, I came to the committee meeting the other day in relation to the, I forget the formal word of it, but they were talking about the fire halls and so on and so on. And it was, I'm gonna say 99.9% guaranteed that Oak Bay Fire Hall would not be closed. It may have some restructuring, but it will not be closed. So, also, St. Stephen is a manned department. I'm going above here, that maybe the chief should answer this, but St. Stephen is a personed fire hall
She's looking like she's.
that is got access to the highway like within a second or two. It's a lot faster than Oak Bay can drive there and get in a car and go and so on. They would be responding immediately. At one time, we used to just call them and say, come in anyways. And they would have responded. You can turn somebody around in a heartbeat, but it's easier to have them rolling. So your question about timing, I don't think that's going to be a big issue. I almost think it's going to be improved. But again, just reiterating that they've guaranteed that it's not going to get closed. So, sorry. Just wanted to clarify that.
All right. All right, that brings us to the end of the meeting. I'd like to have a mover and second. Yeah, mover and second to move into close, please.
So moved.
Councilor Harding?
Second.
Councilor Wright? Any questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.